All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Gonzo and the Judge Sportstalk. Uh, excuse me, Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. How's it going, Judge?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? How's everyone doing? You know, today's the shortest day of the year, right?
Yeah, and it's getting cold over here on the East Coast. I know you out there on the West Coast, you're enjoying that nice weather.
Uh,
We're not getting that nice weather over here.
it's cold for us though. It's cold for us. Let's just say that Californians, this is the only cold
Wait a minute, what's cold for you guys?
the 50s.
Oh my goodness.
I wish.
I wish it was the 50s here right now.
Hey, but you know what, Chris? I'm pumped up for the show tonight because we got my good friend with us tonight. We got Chris LeBron on the show. What's good, my man? What's up?
Hey man, I appreciate you guys having me on. And 50 degrees would sounds. I mean, I'd be in shorts and a t-shirt if it was 50 degrees right now. So if that's cold for y'all, man, I get jealous. I think I saw you post something when it was like it's 60 degrees and you were cold. I was like, what? Something
It
you
just
said.
get
I was
like
like,
it just get like negative 20 here this weekend.
yeah, it's gonna get cold out here in New York. It's gonna get like in the teens. So I'm not looking forward to that at all.
Uh-oh. That
Yeah.
snow's coming, huh? That snowfall's gonna be coming.
Yep, it's gonna come down. It's not fun. It is not fun. Don't like I don't like snow. Don't like shoveling. 'Cause none of that stuff is fun. But that's all a part of the life living in the Northeast.
I'd rather have the snow than the ice, but I don't like snow either.
Yeah, not fun. Not fun to drive, to walk, to do anything. It is brutal. I don't know how people can enjoy being cold. Like I've never. They'll debate like, summer or winter. Some people don't like the heat. And I was like, I'd rather deal with 95 and up.
Yep.
And because I can always go inside and cool off and all that. Like, nah, I don't feel the cold. It is brutal. I've lived in the East Coast my whole life. Still don't get used to it. Still get jealous of anyone that lives in the left coast or down south that doesn't have to deal with this, for half the year.
I just try to stay in the house when it's that cold.
Yeah, you just stay home and that's it. That's all you can do. You stay home and get fat. That's why people in the East Coast are so fat. Because it's cold. That's why when you ever see the workout videos, it's always in Venice Beach and all that, people all jacked up and all that.
Yeah, you got the bodybuilders.
Yeah, bodybuilders. Yeah, they all go to the West Coast because it's or for Florida or because it's nice out. You can't buff like that in New York.
Right, and which is why California, Texas, and Florida produce most of the baseball players, right?
Yeah, that's why you produce the best athletes because it's 12 years, 12 months out of the year is nice. Yeah, that's why we suck at football in like high school and all that. We don't even have college football here. So in New York, because we don't have warm weather. So, but yeah, I get jealous of anyone who complains about like being cold and like I have parents who live in grandparents who live in Puerto Rico and like they get cold when it's like 60 degrees, like they need a sweater. It's like, come on now. Let's be serious here. Let's be serious here.
You're a little envious, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If I could, I would go to the left coast or down south. I'm over the cold. This time of the year is the worst. I mean, we have another 3 months of just brutalness.
Yeah,
out north, in the Northeast. So not looking forward to, but I guess I'm used to it. So got to deal with it.
at least there's going to be a lot of football on this weekend with the bad weather coming in.
Exactly. At least there's sports on. At least there's sports on. So that helps because if I'm gonna stay in, at least I could just put on the game.
Yeah, at least have
NBA,
something
college
to watch.
basketball, college football. We got bowl season, playoffs about to start in NFL. So, at least we got that. Thank God.
Yeah, that's all I watch is sports. If there's wasn't sports on, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
During
I watch sports
COVID,
and like
when COVID first started, they shut everything down.
That was
Oh,
brutal.
it sucked. It was like, all I watch is live sports. What am I gonna do now?
Yeah, you had to get creative. That was probably like the toughest, especially for people who make content. That was the one time period where you really had to get creative. And like I remember that's kind of when I got started doing it, and I was like, whoa, I just got started. Everything's going, and
Same
boom,
with
no
me.
sports. And so I had to get real creative and kind of change the way my show was going. So I kind of went from like kind of talking about everything and then just stopped and said, okay, I have to kind of pick one thing because I can't talk about everything because there's nothing on. So I kind of went into like the interview phase and like started reaching out to like, this is around like the draft, NBA draft. So I reached out to a lot of college kids and I just who wanted a platform, especially like low level D1 guys who just weren't getting a lot of attention. I reached out and just started interviewing that and just kind of took off from there, my show. So that's kind of how I did the whole COVID thing and made out because it was tough.
Yeah, you had to really get creative because a lot of people was talking about The Last Dance, and I thought about doing videos and content on The Last Dance, but everybody was talking about The Last Dance. So I said, it really would be no point of me even discussing it because everyone's watching it, everyone's talking about it. So I had to get more creative too. But that was a tough period for a lot of us. But hey, we made it through.
And that's what saved my show was because I was just starting like you was doing interviews with because I do a lot of pro wrestling stuff.
Oh, I love wrestling too.
I got a lot of
wrestling.
independent pro wrestlers to come on that was looking for a platform to do interviews and stuff. And now like almost every weekend I'm at an independent pro wrestling show live streaming it on my channels and getting to do live commentary and stuff. It's been a blast. But
that's all. And that's it's crazy because wrestling took a major hit, especially the indie scene. Because I used to go to a lot of indie shows out in New Jersey, weekly. And when that ended, when COVID happened, that ended. To go into the show, so that was huge. And then took a big hit for the indie scene. I really felt bad because I knew a lot of guys that were suffering because they weren't getting. There's no wrestling. You can't make money, and it's like that was COVID's wild. It's crazy to think it was, it's gonna be almost 3 years ago. Like it's crazy.
I'm gonna say crazy. I do we do like 5 or 6 independent wrestling shows a month now. I was just at one last Saturday night in Indianapolis, Indiana, and had Dylan Bostic and Shane Mercer, who's been in Game Changer. Some guys have been on TV. Man, it was an awesome show, and it's cool getting to talk to all the guys, get to meet everybody, and then a lot of them will do interviews with you and stuff afterwards.
Yeah, that's all.
Getting to do live commentary for wrestling's been awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome too. I had a buddy who did that, and I used to go to it's called WrestlePro. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but it's like this is where MJF got kind of started, and I always tell people like before MJF was MJF, like he was the same character, like even before he got big, he was the same character, and I remember he flicked off my hat and all that, so that was cool. And like seeing like Anthony Bowens, any Acclaim, like they were in the same indie and all that, and Chris Statlander and all that, so like seeing that like is pretty cool.
Like here in Indiana, I got to see John Moxley before in the independent scene. Daniel Bryan. I got to see a lot of them guys before they were ever in WWE or on TV or anything.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the cool part about watching independent wrestling is seeing the guys that people may not think may ever make it, and then they just get their chance and it just grows, and then boom. That's why it's cool seeing MJF and all these guys, because I'm like, I watched those guys in the independents 5 years ago where they didn't have a name, and then boom, like now they're stars.
A promotion I work with here in Indiana, MJF had wrestled there some before he went to AEW and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's awesome seeing that, just seeing guys grow and live out their dreams. I mean, that's it feels like you're a part of it because you saw the growth, and all that, and like to see them and then finally make it, it's pretty cool.
And it's a cool experience too, because then you get to build personal relationships with those people, and then you have all these connections, and then that leads to greater things for you in your career as well.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yep. About a month ago, I got to do a show that Mick Foley was on. Got to talk to Mick Foley and stuff. That I mean, you don't get them opportunities all the time. So it's fun,
right?
No, you don't. And that's why it's important to just keep grinding, put it in the work, and you just never know. The things could lead to, like I talked about doing draft stuff before. and doing a lot of interviews. I started getting on a roll and interviewing a lot of guys to the point where I was having coaches reach out to me, agents reach out to me, people's dads reaching out to me to get their kids interviewed and all that. So like, it shows that you put in the work, that good things could happen. And I've been fortunate to have some pretty cool things happen in this podcast game for the last going on 3 years and all. That's some pretty cool things. I'm about to host a really popular Knicks show Friday.
Nice.
After the game, the most popular Knicks show in New York, Knicks Fan TV. I'm going to host that for the second time this year. So it you keep putting in the work and good things. I have people on my phone that I'd never like, big Emmy winners,
Yeah,
college basketball players that start. It's pretty cool ride, and all that when you got and doing this well with kids and work and life,
Yeah.
People don't see that part where you have to manage all the life and everything else and try to put in time for this. Yeah, the balance is been, it's tough, but it's all worth it at the end of the day.
Right.
So I take it you're a New York Knicks fan. What are you thinking of the Knicks season so far?
I mean, tough night today. They lost. Siakam had, I think, 52 points. So we went back to not playing defense against, team's best player. But overall, I mean, kind of been up and down before the win streak, but they're playing solid basketball right now, so can't complain. I mean, I kind of thought this is what they would be, kind of like a middle of the pack, middle of the road team. So I think they're playing, the way they should be playing. And I think, they can be a potential, 6 to 8 seed, potentially. And, so far so good. I really didn't have any high expectations for them. I thought they would be around 38 to 42 wins. And I still think that's probably going to be the case. Maybe a few more wins, maybe 44 wins, something like that, depending. But, so far, great run. They lost today, but, when a guy drops 52 points, it's hard to beat a team like that, especially their best player. So, so far, solid season for the Knicks so far. And hopefully, they can continue the good play.
Yeah, the jury is not quite in on this team yet, but they have made the adjustments. You have seen growth. And it starts with their defense. Their defense has gotten better down the stretch. And Julius Randle is starting to score points. And you need him to be that callus for your offense. And we're seeing that from him. And so if he sets the tone, then I feel like everyone else elevates their game around him. And then that's when the Knicks take off. So we'll see. Yeah. But they've been looking good of late. It's a long season.
Yeah, Randall's played good. Played good. Jalen Brunson's been really good. That's been a great pickup for the Knicks.
Hey, Judge, they've been looking better than your Lakers.
Yes, I knew you was gonna go there. I knew you was gonna go there. Yes, they have.
I don't know how anyone thought the Lakers are going to do anything this year. I just don't get it. That roster construction, is horrid. Is horrid. So I don't get why anyone thought they would do anything this year, but we're seeing that it's just not working, and they have a lot of issues there in LA.
Delusional.
My team isn't playing too bad.
Pacers?
Yeah, Pacers.
No, they're playing better than expected for sure. They're really playing good. Halliburton to me, I loved Halliburton coming out in 2020. I thought he was like a top 10 a pick. And I wanted my Knicks to actually take him because we needed a point guard, and it would have been great. And it's crazy because a lot of people didn't like him because of the way his shot looked.
Yeah,
coming out, he has like a little hitch, but I was like, that little hitch shoots 50% from the field and 40 from three. So I don't care what it looks like. It goes in because I know guys who have perfect form, and they shoot 32%. So it goes in and it translates. But it wasn't just that. It's like he's a really good passer. One of the best passers. I think he leads the league in assists right now, and he's almost a 20 and 10 guy on a nightly basis.
And a low turnover guy.
Low turnover, and he's just someone that can build with, Ben Mathurin now. They have some good pieces. Duarte, if he gets healthy and all that, like they got really good pieces there in Indiana. And if they they just keep it up. The future is brighter than we probably a lot of maybe even the fans maybe expected. They got some good things coming because of Halliburton's progression. Because they thought maybe in a year or two they could get back to. Now you're like, whoa, we could make the playoffs this year, and then
It could,
and then going forward, if Ben Mathurin takes a leap next year, oh wow, like we could be on that like Cleveland Cavaliers path, and that's a path a lot of teams want to be, where you draft well and you make that one trade that changes the rest of your franchise. So Pacers are in a better situation than I thought, for sure.
Yeah, they're not in bad shape at all.
No, they're a lot better than what Pacers. Because I'm a big Pacer fan. Even the Pacer fans in here in Indiana, a lot of people thought that the Pacers would win 30, 35 games this season, and we're over halfway to that already. So I mean, they're ahead of what a lot of people thought they would be.
Yeah, a lot of people thought they would be in tank mode, trying to get Scoot Henderson or Wemby, and it looks like they could surprise a lot of people and maybe make the playoffs, and that's a huge step. That's a huge step for a process that maybe we thought would be a 3-year process, where in a few years you may thinking about playoffs. Now we're talking about playoffs in the first year, with Ben Mathurin and all that. That's pretty impressive, and keep because Miles Turner's been in trade rumors for the last 10 years of his life, even before college. Like it feels like he's in trade rumors. And
I don't know why he's always in trade rumors.
He's always, he's been a Laker for like 7 years. It feels like
yes,
he's been a Laker since LeBron's been there. So for 4 years, like it's crazy how he's always a Laker and then
with the young guys around him, he's having one of his better seasons.
Yeah. He's having a really good season.
So. And sometimes that's what gets you going, right? You hear your name being mentioned in trade talks, and that just helps you take your game to the next level.
Yeah, and they beat the Celtics today. So
yeah,
they beat the Celtics today, and the Celtics are struggling a little bit right now, but they just playing really good basketball, solid basketball in Indiana right now, and they should be proud. Healed, solid. They picked up Naismith from the Celtics. Yep. I think he needed a new spot to develop, because I liked him coming out of college too, because I thought he was a nice, a wing that could shoot. And I think going to Indiana is going to help him out. So, and we're seeing him play well too. So, Pacers are in good shape, man. You got definitely should be proud of them.
Even that other rookie they got, that Nembhard from Gonzaga.
Oh, Nembhard too. He's another one. He killed. He had a good game against the Knicks when we played them a few nights ago. But and no, he's had some really good games. That's a steal. I think they got him like in the beginning of the second round. I think he was like the first pick in the second round or something like that. But they hit on their picks. That's important. You hit on your picks and you get that one guy who's transcendent. Good things happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Pacers' identity transformed overnight, it seems, and you're seeing growth from these young guys, the youthful exuberance and the energy and the poise that these guys play with. And they're so young, and they're pushing the ball up the floor. They're controlling the tempo of the game each night, and they clearly flipped the switch, and they're ahead of their time. So if they do make the playoffs, you could consider them overachievers, and a lot wouldn't be expected of them in the playoffs because they're not supposed to be there the way they have played. But it's incredible stuff what we're seeing from the Pacers.
Yeah, very impressive. Like I said, Pacers fans should feel really good, not just about this season, but going forward, because they got a nice nucleus of guys, and they're young. And if Mathurin can become that Dwayne Wade potentially, because I had Ben Mathurin as the 5th best player in the draft. I loved Ben Mathurin. I loved him. I think I saw a lot of this in college. I was like, wow, like he should maybe even go higher, because he's just that good. And for the Pacers to get him, I was like, oh, and you add Halliburton. I'm like, these two guys, I love both these guys, Halliburton and him. I was like, oh, if they get this right, they may be able to do some good things earlier than expected. And so far they are. And like I said, a big win over the Celtics at Boston today. That just all that does is, continue, just building winning culture with the young guys. I think it's like kids. It's like having kids, and you want to establish good habits at a young age, right? With kids, because then when they get older and they act out, you're like, oh, I should have done this and that. It's the same thing you do with young teams. You want to build winning cultures from the jump, so they don't get that losing mentality, and then they don't know how to win for 7 years, and then it's too late,
Yeah.
and they're past, they're going at the end of their prime or whatever. So you want to establish those good winning habits early with the young team, and they've done that. So that only bodes good things going forward for in the next few years for Indiana.
And they're well coached as well. But you got to remember this too: they're going to be prone to some clunkers because
Of
they're
course.
a young team. So they're going to definitely go through their growing pains. But I think by the time it's all said and done, they will be a playoff team. It's the Eastern Conference, they'll definitely get there. But I know they're banking on that incredible backcourt of theirs, because that backcourt of theirs is prolific. And those two guys together, they're absolutely fun to watch. I think they have developed chemistry. You see the continuity with this team, and it's just excellent stuff if you're a Pacers fan. You got a lot to be excited about if you're a Pacers fan.
Yep. Good things happening in Indiana. Good things happening.
Yeah, Judge, I know you want to talk about Carlos Correa to the Mets. What's your thoughts on the Mets spending all this money? And I mean, they're going to be paying like $100 million in luxury tax. It's crazy.
That luxury tax gonna be crazy.
Well, we woke up to stunning news this morning. This deal went down while most of us was asleep, and I woke up to the stunning news. I immediately grabbed my phone when I woke up this morning, because that's usually the first thing I do. I check, to see what happened in the world of sports. And then I look at my phone, and then how you're half asleep, right? You're still kind of, waking up and everything. And I looked at my phone. I said, "Wait a minute, is this correct, or am I looking at something wrong here?" And so I checked another source, because I saw that it was on MLB on Fox on Facebook. Then I checked another source on ESPN. I still couldn't believe it. So then I checked another source to see if it was really real. And I said, "Holy God, this really did happen. This really did happen." And for once, John Heyman got it correct.
Yeah,
he got it correct. I can't believe that Carlos Correa is a Met.
It's really wild.
From the Giants. It's crazy. It's crazy what Steve Cronin has done.
He definitely ain't afraid to pull out that checkbook. That's for sure.
He's not afraid, man. And you can't be afraid in New York. It's to throw out, because Mets fans have been so accustomed to with the Wilpons from them not spending money, and now it's like the complete opposite. So it's like whoa, right. And I don't know what happened with the Giants as far as Correa. It seemed like the presser was going to be today or whatever, or yesterday, and you heard about that, and okay, he signed and all that, and then it's like, whoa, well, the physical came back, and they're canceling the presser, because you heard that yesterday. They were canceling the presser, and I was like, okay, like maybe they're just rescheduling. Like, there wasn't any rumors or anything as far as anything else. And then, like you said, you wake up and I checked my phone too, and I was like, I saw Correa to the Mets. I was like, oh, that's probably someone just saying that. And then you check all the legit verified accounts, like, oh, and then Bleacher Report reports to the ESPN. I was like, oh wow, what the hell happened? And the Giants are not having a good offseason. Let's just say that. It's Mitch Haniger, and that's it. They had Judge apparently was locked up to be a Giant. This guy was supposed to be Correa. Like, they were supposed to have and they have the money too. Like, you knew they were gonna go, guns and blazing this offseason and get maybe one or two guys, and they wound up striking out. And the Mets get richer because they dropped a boatload of cash on Verlander. They already paid Lindor $300 million. Nimmo got a $170. Edwin Diaz got a $100 million. beginning of the off season. They got a very expensive team, but you got an owner who's the richest owner in baseball.
He is. Yep.
Hey, you have the money, and I heard the rumor that my Yankees are they're like, they should start looking into Cohen's money. And it's like, at one point we were doing that, guys. So like we can't be mad because the team that plays in the same city is doing it. Hey, he got the money. Good for them. Like, I can't be mad at the Mets. Like the Yankees are doing the same thing. So like it's good, it doesn't mean they're gonna win the championship. Like it doesn't mean you're gonna win the World Series.
It doesn't guarantee it.
So like I'm not like, but good for them. Like, hey, you got the owner to pony up all that money. Good for you. Hey, good. Enjoy it.
They have $600 million on the left side of their infield. That's just crazy.
It's crazy.
$600 million.
But every fan wants their owner, because, and somebody, I forgot who brought this up today, but they made a great point. They're like, all these owners, we always hear these owners like, oh, we're poor, we don't have money to do this and all. That's a bunch of BS. You do. You're just cheap. And then you see a guy like Cohen that comes in and messes up the whole system. And there's owners that are probably pissed off about Cohen, because now they're going to be like, now the fan bases are going to be like, how come the left side of his infield is worth more than the whole division, the whole AL Central? Like, no, we're not going to accept this no more. You guys have stop crying poor. You guys are billionaires. Right. Go put us a competitive ball club. Like, if you're an Oakland A fan, you're like Correa is making more in 3/4 of a year than the whole roster.
Yeah.
Like you should be really pissed off if you're an Oakland A's fan.
So
what's going on?
I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan. I'd love to have an owner like Cohen.
Yeah, like, you're a Reds fan. You should be like, what are we doing? Like, guys, what are we doing? So it's like, I hope this opens up, more owners' eyes and being like, we can't, because how it's a billionaires club too. And I don't get why owners, like, they go to these winter meetings and they look like, if you're looking at Steve Cohen, like, God damn, like, your team's good. Like, you're spending money. Like, how can you be like going in these meetings and be like, I'm cool with my team having a payroll of 3/4 of Carlos Correa's contract or whatever? Like, it's just unacceptable. So hopefully this gets other teams' owners, a little fire up their butt, because there's too many cheap owners in baseball. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And we know these owners got money. So, hopefully we start getting, owners to because it's ridiculous. The attendance getting worse and all that. We need to see more competitive teams in baseball. So hopefully, Cohen has sparked a little fire in other team owners, rear ends.
Right. And I love it. I love that this guy is willing to spend to make his team better. His team got bounced last year when they played the Padres in the playoffs. He wasn't too thrilled about it. And, he said, you know what? I'm going to go out and spend as much money as I can this offseason. And he did just that. And now the Mets fans, they're happy. It's Christmas time in New York, and they got all their they got all their gifts for the holiday season, and now they're excited about the upcoming season. This is something that the Yankees are known to do. Now the Mets are bidding for players as well because they want to win, and that lineup is stacked. You got Francisco Lindor, and I think him and Frankie was talking. I really do. I think there was some recruiting going on here. I think Carlos Correa really wanted to be in a big city. I think he fits with the New York Mets because he's an edgy guy. He brings that championship pedigree. I know that there's a lot of people that is gonna label him a cheater because that will always follow him, his checkered history of cheating with the Astros. But at the end of the day, you're getting someone that's experienced. He knows what it takes to win. So now you add him to the roster, and this team may actually go places because they're a little hungrier now, knowing that they have a champion in their locker room. And that can be inspirational for athletes that's never won a chip. And you bring a guy over that's won a chip. That's huge to me, and you brought back your closer, Edwin Diaz. I mean, this team is going to be scary, but like you said, Chris, that doesn't guarantee a championship. The Dodgers won 100 plus games, and they lost to the upstart Padres in the division series, so it doesn't really mean nothing. In baseball, is usually the team that gets hot at the right time. Anyway, it's usually these teams are stacked, that has so much star power, are the teams that get bounced out of the playoffs early than expected. But I like Steve's mindset. I think he's driven. I think he's a damn good owner. I think this is what Mets fans have been waiting for years. And now the future looks bright in New York. And the Mets fans have something to be excited about as well. So I like the move. It sucks for the Giants. I mean, I can't help but to laugh because, I'm in Dodger Nation. So I can't help but to laugh.
And not a good offseason for the Giants.
I said it this morning. I said that somebody in that front office need to be fired because the Giants, if my memory serves me correctly, somebody in that front office said we would not be outbid. And damn it, they lost out on Aaron Judge because they said they would not be outbid for Aaron Judge. And look what happens. He returns to the Yankees. They lose out on two players that ended up going to New York. It's crazy. It's
the brand. The New York brand is strong, man. The New York brand is a strong thing. And Judge, I the whole going back home thing, I never really bought because we've seen that a lot, and a lot of players, but they probably want to go back playing home, and you hear that a lot, and I think that's kind of overrated because that's actually like more pressure for players to go back home and play.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought Judge, if the Yankees even got close to what the Giants were offer, I think they were going to win the sweepstakes, and there was no way the Yankees were going to let even $40 million come between losing Judge and have him going to, him coming back to the Yankees. So like, even if they had to, and I know people like stress about like the 10 years, it's like, who cares? Like if that's 10 years from now, if the last 3 years are bad, but if he gives you a championship, like I always go back to like CC Sabathia when we got him, like the back end was pretty bad, but at the end of the day, he got you a World Series to share it too. Like, got us world championship. So like if he does that, nobody's gonna care about the last 3 years.
Well, that's like people complaining about the length of Correa's contract. No, if he helps get the Mets a championship, nobody's gonna care about those last
no Mets fan is going to care. He can suck after the next 12 years. It could be 240, 15 home runs, 60 RBIs. But if in year one he bats 290, gives you 30 home runs, plays a Gold Glove third base. He's playing third base now. Plays Gold Glove third base, and wins you a World Series. Not a Met fan would not care at all. They only care about winning their first championship since '86. He brings them a World Championship. Nobody's gonna care. People only care about those contracts when it does. Like Pujols didn't bring anything to the Angels. That's why people crap on that. But you win a championship. When A-Rod re-signed with the Yankees in 07 when he opted out and came back, if he didn't win a championship, that contract looks worse. But now like, he's the reason why we won a championship now. So Yankee fans don't really trip over that. We trip over like Giambi's contract when we got Giambi and all that, but it's like, if you don't win a championship, then people bring up the contract. 10 years, man, that looks bad. Like, like if Stanton wins a championship with the Yankees, people are going to forget about him having a 13-year. Like, so, Bryce in Philly, he has a 14-year, whatever, 15-year deal. Like nobody's going to care about that if he wins a championship or if he won one this year. So
they need Stanton though. The Yankees need Stanton, and here's why. He extends that batting order and he provides protection in that lineup. So I think his bat is just as important as Aaron Judge. It also takes pressure.
He just needs to stay healthy though. If he stays healthy, that's always been an issue with him, is health. And a big guy like that, big guys like that break down a lot quicker. So like I think that's probably why people were tripping over the 10 years for Judge, because most likely he'll break down, a lot, in 4 or 5 years. But like I said, if they win a championship, it doesn't matter. If Correa wins a championship with the Mets, nobody's going to care about the last whatever years of the bat. It's all about winning. You win championships, people forget. People forget
and here's
about
the thing too. You're right. And here's the thing too. What earned Aaron Judge generational wealth was the fact that he had a historic season.
Oh yeah, and he banked on himself. And you have to give, and this could have backfired badly on him. Like it really could have, like, because he turned down a nice amount of money, and because he started the season, he slumped a little bit, and people, the tabloids are getting on him, and it was like, I was like, oh man, this could be bad for him. I was like, but he stayed focused and saw the bigger prize, and he went on a tear, and obviously had almost a triple crown. See, at one point, it looked like he might have won a triple crown in the last part. I think the pressure of getting to 60 and all that got to him, and he was pressing a little bit, just because he wanted to get it over with. So probably hurt him winning the triple crown, but he finished like third. So obviously it's still a tremendous season, batting .311, but he betted himself, and look what he did. He got an extra $140. Hey, and like I said, it could have backfired him, but you take a chance, you bet on yourself. And we've seen this in a lot where it goes the other way, and then you're signing a 1 year deal and you try to prove it again. But he betted himself, and look, he got a nice fat 9-year, $60 million deal, and he's sitting pretty right now. And he's back with the Yankees, and he's the captain now, which is that's an honor. You're the Yankee captain. Like that's the one captain every baseball fan knows. Like, who the captain of, we may not know the captain of the Astros or the Braves or the Mets, but always the captain of the Yankees. That's a tradition unlike any other in sports. So that's an honor, and I think he I'm looking forward to him coming back and seeing how this team does. But I'm happy he's back, because I was stressed out when Arson Judge got signed. I was like, well, who's Arson Judge? Well, when Heyman wrote that, I was like, Arson Judge? I was like, no, Judge is gone. And he said, Aaron Judge about to sign, and then thank God the Yankees said, no, this isn't happening. We got to ante up the money, and boom, got their guy. So that was a little stressful time for a lot of Yankee fans. But glad he's back. Glad he's back, because this team would not look pretty without him, because he literally was the MVP. You take Aaron Judge off that Yankee team last year, oh my God, that's not a good team. No. Not a good team at all.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't have gotten to where you guys gotten without him, no doubt about it. And the Yankees knew that at the end of the day, and the Yankees made it real clear that they wanted him back. They lamented about it. You heard the owner talking about how important he was for their roster, and how they wanted him back, particularly after a historic season like the one he had. And Aaron Judge is somebody you can build around. I mean, you could build around him. So to lose him, that would have been a travesty for the Yankees, and I think they realized that.
He's a moneymaker too, man. Like that 99 jersey.
Right.
Just think about it as a business move. Just period. Like, like there's not really another Yankee who's really marketable like Aaron Judge.
Right.
So like to lose Aaron Judge, you're losing a lot of money, not just a great player, not just the MVP of the American League. You're losing a very marketable player that's I know the Yankees make a lot of money off just merchandise, and that hat is an iconic hat, but those 99 jerseys, I'm sure, are probably number one in baseball.
Oh yeah, they fly off the shelves.
And they fly off the shelves, and kids look up to him. And you don't want to upset that market. You want the kids to come to the ballpark and wear those 99 jerseys proudly and come early and spend money and all that. And if losing him would have hurt a lot. So it was a lot of factors, not just on the field, but off the field too. That was like, okay, we can't lose this guy. We may not want to pay the price, and maybe like we talked about, maybe the last few years it may look bad because he's a shell of himself, but we have to pony up the money. We have to give him the extra years, because if we lose him, that's just a bad look on us. and our team can really suffer. And then you're gonna hear it because New York, you hear it, and they've been hearing it even though we've had a pretty just we've had some solid teams, but we haven't won it all. And you would think it's been forever since we haven't won. It's only been since 09. That's how spoiled we are. But that they hear it, and so they had to get Judge back at all costs. If it cost them $400 million, guess what? You got to put $400 million on that check and be like, Aaron, we need you back, man. So Judge played it off well, man. Good for him for betting on themselves, and good for the Yankees for not, because there was a little worry that maybe we're not going to go the extra 9th year or give him the extra. Nah, they just said, that's our guy. Homegrown guy. We can't let him go. That's our guy. He's the face of the franchise, maybe the face of baseball. Can't afford to let him go.
Right.
And for Judge too, like, I know going to San Francisco, like home and all that, but it's different. You go to San Francisco, and it's not like he's a lefty. Now, if he was a lefty going there, and you got the water out there, like, it would have made sense, because he can, but
it's not a bad market, but he wanted to stay in a place where he knows he can contend as well.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee the Giants are going to be, because they had a drop off, a massive drop off, and they still have some roster issues on that team that they had to figure out. So, they wouldn't, even with Judge, I mean, they'd be a little better, but are they better than the Padres? No. Are they better than the Dodgers? No. Like, so, like, you're the third best team. Like, you're gonna leave the best team in the American League East to go to the third best team and go out left, and people may forget about you because you're playing for a worse team. Like,
right?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. So that's why I say sometimes going back home that whole thing is kind of overblown and all that, and we saw it. He picked the Yankees, so
he wants to be a Yankee for life and for a lifetime, and that's where he wanted to be. He's a lifer, and at the end of the day, he wanted to be a Yankee. And I told several people that I think at the end of the day, he wants to be a Yankee. But then at first, when I kept hearing all the rumors about the Giants, I really, really thought he would land with the Giants by the time it was all said and done. I said, oh my God, I think this is really going to happen. But, we just broke it down why I think it didn't happen. It's because, he's a franchise player there. He's the face of that franchise. And, I think he wanted to finish his career as a Yankee, and he knows that he has a better chance to win with the Yankees wearing that pinstripe jersey. And, that pinstripe jersey, wearing that pinstripe jersey means a lot.
Powerful. It's powerful. I don't know of any other jersey in sports. I mean, you maybe putting the Cowboys jersey on football and, the Lakers jersey in basketball. There's no other powerful jersey than a Yankee jersey. And you put that on and it's like, it can make or break you. We've seen a lot of guys go to New York that were great players and they fizzle out
under the pressure.
They fold because that pressure, it's real. I don't know if you guys know New York, but it is that.
And you even see it in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I mean, you even see it in the NFL with the Jets and the Giants. I mean, look with Zach Wilson. He has a 5-3 record this year as a starting quarterback, but look at all the pressure there is on him, and how a lot of Jets fans want to see Mike White play instead of Zach Wilson. Yeah, I mean, it's that way even in football, and you see some of them guys fold.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they did it to Eli Manning. Eli Manning almost folded, before that Super Bowl run in 07. Like, the people were getting at Eli. He needs to get, he's a bust. It was tough. So it's a tough market.
Now he's in for life.
Now he's beloved. Yep. But when New York loves you, they love you. But when they hate you, they hate you. So it's a tough market. And that's why, like for the Knicks, like it's hard to attract players because a lot of players, especially today's NBA players, don't really want to deal with that pressure. Like there's only a few, like Melo tried it and, he embraced it, but he just didn't have, it just didn't work out here. And maybe he wasn't that player that can do that on his own, but it could really make or break you. New York, it is a tough market to play, but if you have success, a la Derek Jeter, a la Eli Manning, you are a god. Those guys are gods in New York City. Like they are forever legends. And
their fans wanted to kill that Giants coach when they benched Eli.
Ben McAdoo. Like when
they wanted to hang that dude.
He got fired because of that.
He got fired
because he bent. And listen, Eli deserved to get benched that year because he was not good. But it's the way you handle it because that's not just any other quarterback. That's a quarterback that helped them win 2 Super Bowls and the 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So you have to handle it differently than any other type of quarterback. Like it's not, so the way they handled it was poor. And like, but you Jeter and I think that's what Judge saw. He's like, I think Judge wants to be that. He wants to be that guy that like is a forever New Yorker, like in that Derek Jeter lore. So I think that's important, like because he had the MVP, he's hit 60 home runs, he's got the endorsements. He needs that ring. That does solidify. And going to San Francisco was not going to do that. Yeah, you get a nice pay, and then money's cool. Like I'll never hate on a player for going somewhere for money because we would do the same thing, right? But the grass isn't always greener. Like we know we're taking a chance. Yes, we're taking a check, but we know that it could be worse.
Yep.
And a lot of times it is worse, right? A lot of times we see that it is worse. A player goes for the money and it's worse. And they're like, oh man. And then you hear like they do interviews after, like, yeah, I regret going there, but it was $40 million a year.
And Yankee Stadium fits Aaron Judge's swing.
Oh, it's perfect.
And his power perfect. Where if you go to San Francisco or to San Diego in the bigger ball diamonds, he might not put up. I'm not saying he wouldn't put up a lot of numbers. He put up great numbers still, but I think he'll put up better numbers in New York with that diamond than some of them other ones.
Yeah, he could hit 50 home runs a year. Like he goes to San Francisco or San Diego, maybe he hits 35 to 40, and that's cool. But you win 35 home runs and you're not making the playoffs, then you're really irrelevant. And then your chances of winning just go, especially when he's already 30. So the years are counting already for a big guy like that. So I think at the end of the day, he made the right move for him, his brand and all that. And I'm excited about him coming back for sure.
Yankee Stadium is hitters friendly, so he will have tremendous success hitting there, and he has.
Yep. And he made the right move. It definitely wasn't easy, but he made the right move, so I'm happy.
In football, which team are you? A New York Giants fan, New York Jets fan, or?
I'm a Giants fan. I'm because in New York, it's usually, since we have 2 teams in every sport, it's usually Knicks, and it's Knicks, Giants, Yankees. That's kind of like, and then it's Rangers if you want to count hockey too. So you're usually fans, and it's like Islanders, Mets, Jets, and I guess Nets. That's kind of like the other way. So there's like 2 ways of but you get combinations of I know people who are like combinations of it, but that's usually how it goes in New York since we have 2 teams. But it's like a civil war sometimes, and percentage wise, I would say Jets, Giants is probably, I would say 50-50 fan base. Yankees, Mets, I say 60-40 Yankees, Mets. Islanders, Rangers. And we have the Devils too, but they're in Jersey. So if you want to count them, but I'll just do New York. That's probably 60-40 Rangers too. And then the Knicks and Nets are probably 70-30 Knicks, simply because we've just been here longer. The Nets kind of just got here like 10 years ago. So, but yeah, I'm a Giants fan, and I'm happy so far with their season. I didn't expect this at all this season to have this. I expected, improvements for sure, a better looking team, like a competitive team, but not a team where we're in the playoff. I didn't think playoffs at all, to be honest, and they definitely surprised me. And Daniel Jones has been solid, but that's what happens when you get a real coach. We haven't had real coaches in a while. And that's what's crazy, is that this franchise has usually been good with picking coaches, and after Coughlin left, they just absolutely bombed the next 3 coaching hires. Like McAdoo gets hired, and Pat Shurmur disaster, like, and then Joe Judge, like, oh my god, like, I didn't get that move at all. Like, it just felt like, the Maras and the Tisches just forgot how to run an organization. And then I remember they got booed at halftime. I think, was it Strahan's? I think his jersey was getting retired or something like that. And they got booed at halftime, and I know they felt that they've never get booed. And they felt it because, we struggled. This team hasn't been good since we won the Super Bowl last time. 1 playoff appearance, and we got smacked by the Packers. So it feels good to have a solid team and know you got a coach that knows how to coach, coming from Buffalo and all that. Dayball's been great, and good things. I think.
Win.
Yeah,
and look who your coordinator was too. Jason Garrett under.
Yeah, we had Jason Garrett, Mr. Clapp, Mr. Clapp.
Terrible play calling, sloppy play calling.
Yeah, dude, he's even worse on TV for Sunday Night Football.
Mr. Awkward. Calling. He's just an awkward individual.
Yeah. But look, his play calling was so bad that it made Ben McAdoo look innocent.
Yeah, he was. I thought he'd be a good fit here because when he was just calling plays in Dallas, he was a good coordinator, but it didn't translate with that Giant team last year. So definitely happy we moved on, and I like the direction they're going. I like Dayball. I like that he gets the respect of his players. He takes chances. In that first game against Tennessee, I think they're gonna give him one more year. I think they're giving one because he has played solid football, and we have a lot of injuries on the line,
and really don't have a lot of weapons at the receiver.
And we have guys. You see those Giants wide receivers; they're practice squad guys. They're at best the fourth receiver on any other team. Like we don't have, receivers out there that you can trust. So like Daniel Jones we're not working with a lot of talent. Like he has a rookie tight end. And like I said, a bunch of fourth and fifth, practice squad wide, legit fourth and fifth and practice squad receivers he's throwing the ball with. So like, let's get it all another off. And Galladay is a massive bust as a free agent. With Gettleman getting him, but let's get him a real off season, get some receivers in, and then give him one more year and see if he progresses. Continues to progress. So because going through the draft to get a quarterback, that how that goes, and then trading for a quarterback. We saw what Denver did. They traded for Russell Wilson, and that's been a disaster. So, I think one more year, Daniel Jones wouldn't be bad, but you got to get him some weapons to throw to because he's throwing to a bunch of nobodies, and we got to get him some help there.
Yeah, and I'm with you on Brian DeBall. He has injected energy into the franchise. He, like you said, he has earned the respect of those players. And what I like about him too is that he knows how to use his running back. Yeah. And he knows what works for his team. So, you ride with whatever works for you. And the running game works efficiently for the Jets. So he lets Saquon Barkley do his thing and let him run the ball and calls more running plays, and I like that. I think that sets his team up to succeed at such a high level, and he knows that. And the Giants know they're not the most talented team in the NFL, but they win games because they brought in a coach that has, established a winning culture. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes the right coach for everyone to come to an understanding, for everyone to be on board, and for there to be unity. And if you have all that, you could do amazing things. And we've seen it with this team. That's the mentality that, he would like his players to embrace as well. And I think it has proven a lot about this team, and it has said a lot about this team. And his players have really taken on his personality.
They're a team that's ahead of schedule, kind of like what you were talking about with the Pacers earlier.
Right.
I think even Giants fans would say that the team's better this year than what they thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm. I think they're ahead of schedule, and with Dable building that culture, I think next 2-3 years, Giants are going to be a scary team there in the NFC East.
Yep, I thought this would be year 2 or 3 where we'll see maybe them take that leap to the playoffs, but they did it in year 1. We're in good position to make the playoffs.
It's really not a great roster.
No, it really isn't. It's not a great roster, and on defense, I mean, the secondary is a mess. Like we got rookies and second year guys on our defensive line, at the edge spot, and it's like. This team is not really good, yet we're sitting there at the 6th spot right now I believe. And we're in the playoffs right now. If the playoffs start right now, we're in it. And, that's really impressive. A banged up offensive line, crappy wide receiver. If I tell you this, if you were to tell anyone, all right, there's a team, you got a bunch of practice squad DBs, the linebackers are shaky, a young defensive line, an offensive line that's banged up, practice squad level receivers, a quarterback that got their 5th-year option declined, you'd be like, oh, this is a disaster. And bad contracts too. Kenny Golladay, bad contract. They just traded Kadarius Toney. If I tell you all that, you'd be like, oh my God, that sounds disastrous. And they've managed to get through all those hurdles and put out a competitive team that's, for the most part, the Lions game got out of hand and the Eagles game got out of hand, but for the most part,
close games,
competitive in every single game. So that's management doing a really good job of putting the pieces together, and that's the head coach, having players believe in him. And if you don't respect your coach, it's kind of hard to go out there and battle. But when you respect your coach, when we played Tennessee, that game, that showed me that, okay, maybe we're, it's just one game, but it's like these team rides with their coach. Like, we went for that 2-point conversion, and if he missed him and we lose that game, and that could hurt us, but they went for it and he believed in his players. And I think he got so much respect from that one play it's translated throughout all these games and heading into the last final game. So, you get the respect of your players, man. It goes a long way. You don't, and he gets into players too. And that's the thing I think that's good, is like, he's not just a typical players coach. He's going to get in your face. He got in Daniel Jones. He gets in guys' face, but when you command that respect from your players, you can do that stuff and they respect you. So I think that's the biggest thing, is we finally got a coach that players respect. They didn't respect the last 2 to 3 coaches, and even the end of Coughlin's tenure, he kind of got just played out. Like, players like, all right, we get, like, it's just getting tiresome. They finally got it right, I believe. So I think the playoffs, we might not have a deep playoff run, but I think good things are being built in New York, so that makes me happy for the next few years.
Yep. There's a feeling of optimism.
100%. That's what you want, right? That's what you want in your team. You want to feel optimism, even if it may be a down year. Like for your Pacers, right? Okay, it's gonna be a down year, but you want to have some hope, right? Feeling like, oh, and now you have that, right? Like, oh wow, like we may be 500 and maybe make the playoffs or maybe miss the play-in, but it's like, okay, but like good things are gonna happen in a few years. That's what you want, and that's what you want as a Giant fan. Like, that's what we wanted. Like, we wanted to just feel good about the future, even if it was a 6-11 season or whatever. You just want to be like, okay, well, we 6-11, but a few games here and there, if we had some better play, if we just had a few more guys, mature, or just, if you get a few more players, we could win those games next year. And it's like, okay, all right, we got something here. We see improvements from the quarterback.
You want to see a direction where you're going to be competitive.
Exactly.
And that's my problem right now with the Indianapolis Colts, is I don't see no direction where we're going. There's no direction right now.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
You want to see direction where you're going to be competitive, and now we're starting Nick Foles.
See that's I don't get that. Sense. Like, if it's one thing, you go from,
why not play Ellinger?
Like, why not just go to Ellinger? Like, because that's when he first got benched, right? That's what that was. Man, that was supposed to happen, but I don't get why you go to Nick Foles. Like, your season's done. Like, why are you going to Nick Foles? It's not like you're still in the playoff hunt or whatever, and they may still, because their division's pretty crappy. But they
would have to win out, and like 8 other things would have to happen for them.
But I don't get that. But they'd have to make some serious changes in the offseason. They haven't, ever since Luck retired, they have not figured out that quarterback, and that's the most important thing. But that was bad. I mean, to blow a lead like that, I don't care who's the quarterback. That doesn't happen. But it seems like a Matt Ryan. No
2 terrible collapses in a row.
Yeah, and that's a bad on his resume, because Matt Ryan, and I was talking to guys at my network, like is he a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he has a Hall of Fame resume. He has the MVP. Like, he's had some really, really good seasons, but is these collapses gonna hurt like his chances to being a Hall of Famer? And I think it is. And it's unfortunate because he's had a really good career, but that was a tough way to maybe your career, because that was it. Like, he got benched. Like, that's it. That could have been his last game as a.
I watched the first half of that game, and then I had to leave because we had a wrestling show. So me and my dad were on the road. So we were listening to it on the radio, and it got to about fourth quarter was getting ready to start. The Colts was up by 16. I looked at Dad and said, "We're going to lose this game." I mean, you could just feel it the whole second half. Yeah. I don't know if at halftime they thought, "Oh, we're up 33. We won the game," and they just thought it was over. But they didn't come back out and play in the second half at all.
No, they just, it was a weird energy, and just like, it's kind of like what happened with Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl. Like, they played as if they were down 28-3.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense sometimes. But you got to give credit to the Vikings too for that.
Like, run the damn ball, let the clock, keep the clock running.
The clock is your friend at that point. The clock is your friend. And I always go back to that Super Bowl. It's like, they just forgot about the clock, and like, you're up 28-3, and that the quarterback on the other team, if you give him any hope, if this was any other quarterback, you probably win that. Even the way they played, they probably win that game. But you're playing against Tom Brady. You can't play that way. And it seemed like it did that same thing against, and this is Kirk Cousins talking about. We're not even talking about Tom Brady. Like, this is Kirk Cousins talking about. Like, he'll mess it up on his own, and it didn't happen. That's a tough one. That's gonna be tough for Matt Ryan if that's his last game, to that be his last game. Like, you're gonna be known for 2 collapses. Nobody's going to care about your stats about what 50,000 yards passing. He's probably top 10 in a lot of major categories. He has an MVP under his belt, some really good season in Atlanta. Some
only thing you really don't have is a ring. And
that ring not winning that ring can cost him a Hall of Fame chance.
If you look at it, he hasn't been the same ever since that Super Bowl either.
Nope, he hasn't been the same quarterback, and that can cost him the Hall of Fame too. That could cost him the Hall of Fame. When not winning that Super Bowl can cost him Hall of Fame. So it's kind of crazy, having since that game.
And then you have the biggest collapse in NFL history.
And then your last game, maybe as a pro, is the worst collapse in NFL history. Matt Ryan, tough times for Matty Ice.
Speaking of quarterbacks, there is a lot of talk about Dak Prescott. And I wanted to get into it, because we all know that if something goes wrong with a team, 90% of the blame is placed on the quarterback. And I have a question for both of you. I have a question for both of you guys. Is Dak Prescott the weakest link for the Dallas Cowboys? What is the problem with the Dallas Cowboys? Is it that Prescott's game is problematic, or is it something else? I don't know. I think Dak Prescott in a way is holding the team back. I do like Dak Prescott. I am a firm believer in him. But what do you think, man? What do you guys think?
I mean, the Dak thing is always going to be something that's always going to get brought up, whether he can lead a team to the Super Bowl and all that, because they have the pieces. They're top 5 in rushing, and most, statistical categories on offense. And then defense has been really good, Micah Parsons, and defensive player of the year type of candidate. But I just think with Dak, and even Dak's been really good since coming back from the injury and all that. So, but it just seems like sometimes in big moments, it's kind of like with Kirk Cousins and all that. There's those second tier quarterbacks that, they have those games where sometimes you just don't trust them and they just make the wrong decisions. And I think that's what the Cowboys have right now. And I don't know if he's the wink link, because they do have other issues and all that. I mean, their defense really collapsed against that Jaguars big time. Like, the secondary are just not good, and
Right.
You know, they didn't show up at all, and that's the thing. They gotta, with that defense, but is Dak the weak spot for the Cowboys? I don't know if I could put it all on Dak, but this is a big year for him because they have a really good team to win a Super Bowl. But he's got to make those plays. He's got to make those superstar plays that we see from, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady's 45 and we still feel like, he can do it because, we've seen it. And we got to see Dak do it in the biggest moments. And, I always think we also like because he is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he's always put on this pedestal. So I think that, as much as I love seeing the Cowboys collapse as a Giants fan, it seeing them lose to Jaguars is so much fun. That pick six, it was great. But if I'm just putting my football, analyst hat on, like there is a lot of pressure being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. That is like we talked about Aaron Judge playing for the Yankees, putting that pinstripes on. It's powerful. You put that in, it's like, whoa, you feel all that energy. Same thing when you put down that Dallas Cowboys jersey. There's a lot of energy. On. Yeah, you put that star on your helmet, put that helmet on, and boom, there's a lot of things that come with it. So, it's I don't think it's all on Dak. They especially with like Zeke's not Zeke no more. So you're seeing a lot more Tony Pollard, especially out of the backfield and all that, and not having a reliable number two and all that, and then just some issues in the secondary, and all that. But
it's other things, right?
Yeah, and then the run defense isn't good and all that. So like, they gotta there's some things, that's more than just Dak Prescott. It's easy to just point to Dak because he is the face of the franchise, but I think it's more than just Dak and all that. And but he does have to show in big moments that he can be trusted to make those plays. And we'll see that when they'll be in the playoffs. So we'll see come playoff time if he can truly live up to his billing as being the franchise guy in Dallas.
Right. And before I let Gonzo go real quick, I just want to add on to this. He is a great leader for the football team. No question about it. And I believe that he can win a championship, if he has good players around him, which he does. They've had some injuries with the running game. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are more effective when, they're running the football because when they are, running play action, Dak Prescott looks really sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, that's the key component is Dak when they are running play action plays, because that's where he's the most effective.
Yeah, but they got to get that run game consistent with, especially with Zeke and all that, and they have a nice two-headed monster with Zeke and Pollard. So that's I think that's helped Zeke a lot. Pollard taking that next step and all that, but it's kind of like they have Micah Parsons and like it's like a combination of Fowler and Lawrence, but Lawrence hasn't really done much. I know he's been banged up, but he hasn't had a good game since the Giant game. And that was, I think, week whatever, beginning of the season. So, and I think he had like 3 sacks that game. So half of his sacks came in one game. And Fowler's inconsistent. So they not having someone else that can disrupt, with Parsons has been a little bit of an issue and all that. And they can't stop the run and all that. And then some inconsistencies in the secondary. They've been stopped for the most part solid in the secondary, but we saw in Jaguars like. If it's not Diggs, the other cornerbacks, the Browns getting cooked and all that. So, there's some issues. But they do have the nucleus to do it because they have the run game, they have a solid quarterback and all that. But Dak's got to make superstar plays in the big game. So we got to see that, and who else is going to step up on offense for Dallas too? Because they don't really have a Gallup's there, but he has been inconsistent. Noah Brown's kind of been the number 2, but he's not really a number 2. He's more like a 3. Dalton Schultz has been in and out. He's been banged up for a lot of the years, and they need to incorporate him more because he's a weapon, a tight end. So it's not all on Dak. I know that's easy for people to say, but we can't all place. It's the fun thing to do to place the blame on Dak and all that. But it's more than Dak. But I think they're still all right. If it wasn't for the Eagles running away, with one loss, then maybe we look at the Cowboys different. But it's not all on Dak. They got a couple other holes, but I think they're still a very good football team.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of it's on Dak because he has thrown 10 interceptions since week 7. So since he came back, he's thrown the most interceptions. So he has to be better protecting the ball. But I put more of the blame on Kellen Moore. I think their play calling.
Yeah.
The play calling is bad. If you look the way he was calling plays when you had Cooper Rush at quarterback, if they just stayed with that play calling when you got Dak back, I think this team would have kept excelling even more. But a lot of times they get away from that running game. But and then on defense, their rush defense has to get better. But I still have them up there as one of the top teams in the NFC that are capable of making a deep playoff run. But Dak's going to have to play. Is it going to have to play better?
He has to, especially they're going to be playing on the road. He's going to have to play better, and they got to rely on the run game. Trust Zeke and Pollard to lead them, and then stop the run. They got to be able to stop the run and all that. But we'll see what happens. They still got a really good team and all that. They got a hiccup against the Jaguars, and like I said, it's the Cowboys.
That defense plays so much better when they have a lead.
Exactly.
Right.
They're front runners. If they're up big, they're not going to blow the lead. So if they're up 2 touchdowns and all that, they're most likely going to win that game because they can eat you up with the run game, dice you up with Pollard and Zeke, and then just have Parsons just go crazy. And that's the formula they need. They need to get up big early and just dominate with you with the run game and let Parsons do his thing, and most likely they'll win. So that's their formula. They need to continue to do for the rest of the season and heading into the playoffs.
They picked the wrong time to go MIA.
Yeah, but you know what? With the Eagles doing what the Eagles are doing, it doesn't really matter. So they're going to be in their spot. The Eagles aren't losing. The Eagles are playing good. Hurts is hurt. Unfortunately for them. And we'll see how that shoulder is. Going forward. But
that's actually our next topic.
Yeah. So
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But
right.
The Cowboys, they still have they're still in good shape overall. So I think they'll be all right.
I think the Eagles don't have much to worry about with Jalen Hurts' shoulder. They're obviously going to win the division. They're going to be more engaged because this is a division rival that they're going to be playing on Christmas, which is the Dallas Cowboys, a team we just finished talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eagles, they should take care of business. I think they were actually looking ahead to this game. If
I'm the Eagles,
they're focused on this game.
But if you're the Eagles, don't you think of maybe sitting Hurts out this game? If
100%.
Absolutely. 100%.
I mean, why not? You
have a solid backup. Gardner Minshew's a very capable backup who started a lot of
this game means nothing.
It doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, they're going to win the division regardless. Even if they lose this game, they're going to win the division. It's going to happen. So just make sure your MVP quarterback is healthy.
Right. Like you said, you have a good backup. Minshew's a competent quarterback. You might be able to beat the Cowboys with Minshew at quarterback.
Might be able to.
Exactly. He's going to do some good things, and we might even see some more, dynamic, stuff from the Eagles with Gardner because he could really fling it. So the Eagles are going to be all right with Gardner Minshew, and there's a lot of teams that wish Gardner was their backup and all that. So
I would take a Gardner Minshew right now.
Yeah. I mean, your Colts could use a Gardner Minshew and all that. There's a lot of teams that wish they had Gardner Minshew right now, but they'll be all right. The Eagles, they're I don't think they'll miss that much of and like I said, they got the division locked up.
They got it locked up either way, but there is times where they have slipped up and where they've had trouble stopping the run. There has been times they have had trouble.
The Washington game showed it,
yeah, but they got big bodies up front. Fletcher Cox, you have Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham. I mean, that defense is legit. That defense is for real. And then the secondary, you got 2 ball hawking defenders.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are saying the Eagles are favorites to win the NFC. I kind of pause when I hear that because there's another team that's knocking on the door right now, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. To me, you look at that defense, and I know who they have at quarterback. I know it's Brock Purdy. I know that, but that defense, man, that defense is enough to carry them potentially to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. San Francisco's they're the hottest team in the league, maybe. Like they're rolling right now and they're just clicking on all cylinders. Right. Defense is great. They're running the ball. They got weapons. Yeah, they're just playing around and they trust their quarterback now. They're gonna put him in the right positions and to make the right plays and all that. So, San Francisco, I mean, I don't even know how many games they've won in a row. Like it's 6, 7, 8 games they've won in a row. Like they're just clicking. They're just clicking, and defense is really good. Kittle seems like he's getting back to form and all that, and that's scary.
Was a great addition.
You forget about McCaffrey, and they got McCaffrey. And I forgot the other running back they have.
And Debo Samuel's missed the last 2 or 3 games, and look how good the offenses still look.
He's going to come back at some point, and they still don't have all their players on defense.
No, and but yeah, they've been good. And Elijah Mitchell's been up and down this year, with injuries and all that. But they have him. That's a nice 1-2 punch from McCaffrey. They're clicking. They're clicking right now, and that's a scary team. That's a team you do not want to play because they don't play like a West Coast team. They play smash mouth football, and those teams go far in the playoffs. So they're rolling right now. They're rolling right now. They're clicking on all cylinders.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and they got Bosa's 16, 17 sacks. Like, you have a combination of where you could run the ball.
Oh, Nick Bosa.
And you can rush the passer. Like, that's a good combination to have.
Yeah.
Because you can control the clock and be able to create turnovers because Nick Bosa can get to the quarterback and that can cause fumbles and all that. So they have the good nucleus of what you want in a potential Super Bowl team, and they've known those those losses, those NFC Championship losses, those Super Bowl losses. Like they've built on that. They've learned from those, and they've made a lot of good moves throughout the years. And John Lynch has made a lot of good additions, made a lot of good trades. And quarterback depth, man. He's given Jimmy G. We saw they started the season with Trey Lance, and then imagine if they didn't have a Jimmy G. Like how disastrous season, and they kept Jimmy G when we all thought he was going to get traded, and then having a guy like Brock Purdy, to have him ready to go, because we thought when they lost Jimmy G, it was like, oh my God, all right, now it's disastrous. Like this is they talk about Baker Mayfield, we're like, oh no, you don't want that. You don't want Baker, so and they trusted Brock to and just Shanahan is just a mastermind at the quarterback position and just puts his quarterback in the right positions to make the best plays and all that. And like I said, having a tight end, having a Debo Samuel, having Kittle and Samuel helps a lot for a young quarterback. When you got reliable targets like that, and then having a McCaffrey, like he has security blankets that you can trust. And for a young quarterback like that, that's the number one thing you want is guys you can trust. If something's happening, boom, I could dump it off to McCaffrey. I could throw a nice 5-yard pass to Kittle, and Kittle can take it because he's such a strong guy.
Take it 30 yards.
Take it 30 yards. And Debo, you throw a nice little quick, slant route, whatever. He could take it to 3 yards and take it to the crib. So having guys like that are so invaluable. So, this is like they have everything you need to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, and this could finally be the year they get it done. And all that, so they're in good position, and still Jimmy G can still come back too. So by playoff time. So maybe if they get him back in time, or unless Purdy is just looking so good that they're like, hey, let's just roll with him, and maybe he's our guy. Maybe Trey Lance. We traded all this stuff to get Trey Lance. Maybe Mr. Irrelevant is the guy after all. And you just never know. You just never know. He just the perfect fit. So we'll see what happens. But they're playing good football right now. Really good football.
Right. And with all those weapons, you can create spaces, spacing, excuse me, and it opens up more for your offense. And now, Purdy has so many options on offense. He has a number of targets he can go to. So it's great for that offense. And then it helps when you have a coach like Shanahan, who is an offensive genius and who, once again, was simply masterful with his play calling. Just unbelievable. Coached another masterpiece, really, last week. So, I mean, that team could definitely go places. And that's a team that I wouldn't want to face.
No, nobody wants to smoke with the 49ers right now.
No,
and
nobody.
I don't even know what the playoff seeding looks like right now. I have to look it up, but I'll look it up right now. So right now it'd be my Giants. So oh my god, yeah. So yeah, that's not good. I don't want to play them. We'll get smoked. We're getting smoked. And it may not be a big score, but we'll get dominated like 23-0, 23-3. It'd be that type of game. So yeah, a potential matchup with them in the first round is not something I'm looking forward to as a Giant fan. But yeah, nobody wants to play them right now. They're scary because of how they could just beat you up. That's the worst way to lose, is just get beat up. When you just get beat up and you just like, oh man, they are kicking up, they're taking our rear ends. Like that's the worst way to lose. They're just getting losing through the air by big plays and all that. But getting beat down in the trenches.
I was gonna say, especially if they get that run game going and they run the ball on you for 4 quarters and
those 9-10 minute drives, 8-9-10 minute drives, that's the one where teams, and you could do that against the Giants. If they play the Giants, I could see that definitely happen, those long drives and all that. So that's a matchup that we might have to win a few more games. Maybe let's go play Tampa, because Tampa's going to be like 5-12 and win the division. So let's go play Tampa. I'd rather play Tom than go play the 49ers right now. We gotta hope Dallas slips up, so go Eagles, I guess.
Well, then
go Eagles.
The Thursday night game tomorrow got even more important for the Jaguars because they're trying to sneak in and win that AFC South. And now Ryan Tannehill
he's out for the year.
Is out for the Titans for the year.
Yeah, so that's a big game. That's a big that win over Dallas is huge.
That's a big game.
Yep, and the Jets are still in it too. So the Jaguars winning that game changed their season because, like I said, Tannehill being out now, that changes. Now the Titans just they're not looking as good and all that. So for the Jaguars, it's huge game for them. So that's a bigger. We probably didn't think Jaguars Jets, this time of the year would be a game that we actually would be intrigued about, but we are, and that's good. Sometimes you just don't know. We just don't like the Christmas game. I think we got Denver versus who's playing the Rams. We probably thought, oh wow,
everyone was looking forward.
Yeah, we're like, oh wow, that's gonna be a great game. Two division winners or 2 playoff teams in it, and it's like, whoa, well, that's probably the worst game of the year.
Yeah, I would say that too. That is probably the worst game of the year because Russell Wilson has looked like trash. Yeah. I hate to sound like
even if you ain't know if Russell Wilson's going to play, it might be ripping again.
But I would like to see him one more year without Nathaniel Hackett on the sideline.
Yeah, it's one and done for Nathaniel Hackett.
I
think he's a big reason why this team is not good because
the Christmas Day games aren't very good this year at all.
No. Yeah, it's not a good
Packers
lineup.
And Dolphins, the Broncos and the Rams, and the Buccaneers and the Cardinals.
I'll be watching basketball.
Yes.
I'll be.
On Saturday, Christmas Eve, there's a lot of good games.
Yeah.
But
not a great slate of
games
Christmas Day games.
Are a very good slate.
Yeah, those are. I mean, Packers Packers Dolphins could be something, but the other games are those are duds. But I'll be watching NBA on that. But yeah, Christmas Eve, you got some solid games. But yeah, who would have thought Jets, like I mentioned, Jets Jaguars would be a better watch than Rams versus Broncos. I'm sure that's not what the schedule makers were thinking about. They probably thought they had a banger in the making, and it's not the case. But it's football, man. You just never know. We think Russell Wilson going to the Broncos is a great fit. They got a great run game. They got great weapons and Judy Sutton and Hamler. You think, all right, that's a perfect fit. He's gonna cook. Mr. Limited. He went from Mr. Unlimited to Mr. Very Limited real quick. And it's crazy because they're scoring like 6 points, 9 points.
Yeah.
And if the defense is they
have a good defense.
That's a Super Bowl defense.
Yes.
That's a Super Bowl defense. And they're scoring 6 points. And you're deflated as a defense because you're like, whoa, we're doing our job. It's you know how to say it's a team game and all that, but it's like, no,
we're giving up 16 points a game. And
you guys aren't doing your jobs. We are. We're giving up. We're losing 9-6. That's on you guys. That's on the offense. Like, we're paying you $250 million, and you're scoring 6 points, 9 points. Yeah. We're not scoring a touchdown to the last 2 minutes. No,
you gotta be better than that.
Yeah, that's coaching too, though, because that's what you show is like, well, Russell Wilson, he may be not the same quarterback as far as mobility and all that, but there's no way his talent regressed that much. No, that's coaching and not putting his players in. And I think they were talking about firing him halfway through this first season. I mean, that's something unprecedented. They're like, well, he's legit on like the hot seat. Like,
it can also be some disengagement there too, and frustration as well and that could be why he's underperforming like he is as well too.
Yeah. It's a very weird situation. It's something we haven't really seen. That's very, very weird what's going on in Denver. But
the same could be said about Matt Ryan. It's very bizarre how quickly he has declined.
But at least he's older. Like, he's in his 30s, and he's not a mobile quarterback. Like, he doesn't have the gifts of like Russ. Like, Russell Wilson didn't show, any like decline in his physical talent.
And Russell Wilson hasn't looked like an MVP quarterback. He hasn't looked like Russell Wilson since he's got to Denver.
Yeah, he like they have high standard. Like, we knew Matt Ryan was declining when he got to. Like, we knew this is it. With Russell Wilson, we're like, all right, he might be the MVP this year. People like he could win the MVP this year. Like, we thought that highly of the weapons he had. Like, this is the most weapons he's had in a long time. And like, we probably underrated DK and Lockett because they look good this year with Geno, but we go into Denver, you're like, okay, like, and they have a run game, a good, like, they had people talking about them Super Bowl, like they had the nucleus. And
that's what we were saying, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy what
everybody
transpired.
Kept saying Denver's a quarterback away,
saying, right?
We kept saying Drew Lock was holding them back, and Trevor Siemian and all these guys, and meanwhile they get their guy and that wasn't it, and it's been worse. But it's
actually it's gotten worse, right?
It's gotten worse because and that's why it's important to pick the right head coach. Pick the right head coach because it seems like they missed.
Look where the Giants are at with a brand new coach, and then look where they're at with a brand new coach.
Exactly, with less talent too, way less talent,
less talent.
But the only reason Nathaniel Hackett got hired in the first place is because the Denver Broncos were originally inclined
to get Rodgers,
acquire Aaron Rodgers. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why you have to make sure you know who your quarterback is, and before you do
you get that coach.
Before you get that coach, because if you thought you're getting Aaron Rodgers and you hired the coach who coached Aaron Rodgers, and you don't get Aaron Rodgers, it's like, okay, maybe this is not, maybe we shouldn't have done this, but they did it, and I definitely think Hackett's gone, and they're stuck with Wilson. So regardless, Wilson's their quarterback, so they have to find a coach who can know how to utilize Russell Wilson the way we saw him in Seattle, because it's whatever happened this year. I can't believe that happened. It's just some of the wildest stuff I've seen, and I don't think that's Russell Wilson. I think there's more better Russell Wilson, because we see flashes like the last game he had before the concussion, like he was having a pretty good game. like, he had 4 touchdowns, probably his best game that, at the moment. So there's still some good Russell Wilson in there. But they need to figure him out and get him back to playing like the Russell Wilson we saw. So, but yeah, Nathaniel Hackett, he might not even last the season. They might fire him after next week or before the last week of the season. Like, he might not even last that long, and he'll probably be one and done as a head coach for sure. He ain't getting another shot.
Breaking news in the NBA world. LeBron James went down with a groin injury after running into Keegan Murray boxing out.
Yeah, it's bad times in LA, man.
Your Lakers aren't looking good, man.
And you know what?
All I got to say is this: get well soon, LeBron.
It's tough times in LA. In LA.
You're telling me.
It's and he's crazy because AD when AD came back and he started playing like the Anthony Davis of old, it was like, okay, the Lakers looking good. Russ off the bench. Okay, maybe they can make a play in. Maybe they can. But AD gets hurt again, and LeBron's hurt now, and it's like
it was only short-lived.
It was short-lived, and it's back to reality with the Lakers, and it's more than they have to make a real big decision where the direction of the franchise is going to go, because obviously LeBron's getting older, and this season was pretty much about him breaking the record, right? For the most part, it was about him breaking the all-time record. But what are they going to do going forward? Are you going to run it back again and go through this again, or try to maybe get something for AD? But what do you do with LeBron? Is LeBron going to be cool with playing with a bunch of young guys and all that and going through another 50-loss season with no AD? So it's like, do you consider trading LeBron James? It's so I think the Lakers have to really figure out a direction, because it's going to be the same thing over next year. They're just going to run it back and it's going to happen again, and it's like, that's not acceptable. So they have some tough decisions to make this offseason, because they can be in really big time trouble with this roster, going forward.
All right, hey, Chris, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a lot of fun chopping up with you guys. You guys do work. I see you guys. I've tapped into a few of your shows, so you guys do some good work. You can follow me Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, and it's our most active. You can follow the show on Facebook, also Off the Ball Podcast, on YouTube, Off the Ball Network. That's the network I created. You can follow them, OTB_network on Twitter, offtheballnetwork.com, and all that. And I got a few shows. I got a college basketball show, recruiting type show that I do, called Get a Bucket Podcast. So you can check that out. So Off the Ball Podcast, Get a Bucket Podcast are my 2 podcasts that I host, and they're all available on all podcast platforms. So check that out. And also on the YouTube also. But appreciate you guys, man. It's been a lot of fun chopping up with you fellas.
Appreciate having you on. We're glad you were able to make it tonight. I'm glad I reached out to you when I did, and thank you. And we're gonna do this again sometime soon.
You ever say welcome back anytime, man?
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm down anytime. Anytime you guys hit me up, I'm here. I appreciate it. Yeah, even for the late nights, because then I'll just go right to bed. Right after that, got the bed right here, boom, plop right in and hit it. So, but no, I appreciate you guys, because like you guys do good work. So, it was a pleasure being on the show, and I can't wait to come back on again, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you as well. Thanks for coming on. Hey, Judge, you got anything before we get out of here?
No, I just want to say that today we lost a true legend. We lost a gentleman, and we lost a Hall of Famer. May Franco Harris rest peacefully.
Yes.
I was devastated about the news because the timing of the death is, very, 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 very unexpected. He was scheduled to be at the game for Christmas Eve, I believe, against the Raiders and the Steelers. He was going to get honored that night,
Well, Friday was going to be the 50th year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
And weren't they going to retire his jersey and everything? And he dies a few days before for it. I'm just that hurts, man. But may he rest in peace. He was a true hero to a lot of people. Did a lot of great work in the Pittsburgh community. He will greatly be missed. And my thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time. Those are my final thoughts.
All right, yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers with the family. Like you said, you hate to see it anytime, especially just a few days before they're getting ready to honor you, do a big ceremony and honor you and stuff. So, and around the holidays, that always makes it tougher. But really, for me, all I really have is please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room and at the All Sports All Plays Network. Also at the Sports Judge as well. Same thing on Facebook, Twitch, all that. All social media at Gonzo Sports Room for me is where you can find me. I'm on shows, usually 4 or 5 shows a day. So I'm always out here trying.
You all over the place, bro. You all over the place. You're podcasting. You wake up podcast, breakfast, lunch podcast, dinner podcast. There you go. I respect the grind.
Midnight snack podcast.
We gotta talk wrestling, bro. We gotta talk wrestling one day. We gotta talk wrestling.
Yeah, we gotta do that
for sure, bro. For sure.
But we appreciate everybody joining us. This has been Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk, and we will see you guys on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern time for another episode. Hope everybody has a great night and have a good holidays. See you on Friday.